Mrs. Rapp, General Gray, General and Mrs. Henry, distinguished guests, members of the War College class of 2015. I'd like to also introduce my support team that's here with me today. I've got Colonel Bob Phillips, U.S. Air Force, retired, and his wife Lynn. Bob and I were high school classmates. In fact, Bob was the president of our high school class, and we've been friends for a long, long time. My sister Carolyn Lennox is here with her husband, Lieutenant Colonel U.S. Army retired, Tom Lennox. We've been friends our whole life, at least most of our life. My three incredible children are here, Scott, Matthew, and Jennifer, and my beautiful and lovely bride, Joni, of 40 years. In fact, yesterday was our 40th wedding anniversary, so their presence here makes this all that more special to me. Well, when General Craig called me in September, and he said he was from the Army War College Foundation, my first reaction was they have really upped the ante on the annual campaign. And then, since I'm a fundraiser for a military museum with lots of generals on our board, my second thought was, I wonder if we can get our generals to do that. But when he told me that he was calling because of this honor, I was truly in disbelief. Then he told me who else was being honored: the former Commandant of the Marine Corps, the former Commandant of the Army Aviation School and the first Chief of Army Aviation, former Commandant of the Quartermaster School and a member of the Quartermaster Hall of Fame, and I am truly, truly humbled to be in this group. So after I got off the phone and started to think about this for a minute, I thought, how did this happen? And then I got a flashback to something that happened about 30 years ago when I used to work at our Military Personnel Center. It used to be called Milperson back there then. One of our jobs was to prepare selection boards for promotions and for schools like the Army War College and for commands. And as we prepared these boards, we'd get the records of those that were in the zone of consideration ready for review by the board. And those that were in the zone, if they wished, could send a letter to the president of the board. And normally these letters would be to clarify some incident in their record or to put it in a larger perspective. Occasionally they would outright lobby for selection, but there was one letter that sort of stood out from all the rest, and it went something like this. To the president of the board: Dear sir, no matter how diligent your work to select the most qualified candidates, inevitably when the list is released, there will be one officer for whom the entire force will collectively say, how did he get selected? I would not object to being that officer. Well, you're probably way too kind to think that, but I really sort of thought that when I found out about this award. However, I went back and I started doing some research on the previous year's induction classes. And as I looked through the previous classes, most of the recipients were common names to me, people that I knew from their contributions both in and out of service. But there were at least one member almost of every class that I had not heard of. But when I learned of some of the incredible things that they had done, it was apparent why they had been selected to join their more well-known recipients. In each case, they had very successful military and civilian careers. What likely distinguished them, however, was what they did after they retired. They made great contributions in areas of their expertise and their passion. And I have been blessed for the last 12 years to work on a project for which I have great passion: the creation of the National Infantry Museum and Soldier Center at Fort Benning, Columbus, Georgia. The mission of the museum has been to educate visitors, and we've had almost 2 million visitors since we opened in 2009, that freedom isn't free, and to tell them something about those who have earned and protected the liberties that we enjoy in this great country. And while the story in our museum is told through the eyes of the foot soldier, as I look out in this crowd, it is truly your story. And it is a story that is worth the high honor that's been bestowed upon me by virtue of being associated with this national treasure. So once again, I thank you for this incredible honor, and I would like General Gray and General McNair and General Henry to know, sir, I do not mind, I do not object to being part of your group.